security. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time.
We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jaishankar says difficult to have unidimensional relationships in the contemporary world, highlights historicity of New Delhi's ties with Moscow and Washington on sidelines of Munich conference. India provides humanitarian aid to Zambia amid cholera outbreak, sends purification supplies, chlorine tablets and ORS sachets. India showcases its offensive capabilities. Indian Air Force displays unparalleled firepower at Pokhran through Exercise Vayu Shakti-24, while Indian Navy to host the international maritime event Milan 2024 from Tuesday. And on to the details now. The three-day Munich Security Conference draws to a close on Sunday. Dubbed the Davos of Defense, the global conference sees heads of state and government officials meet to discuss ongoing conflicts and potential future ones. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jaishankar has said other countries shouldn't have a problem with New Delhi buying Russian oil. Dr. Jaishankar added it's a true feat of diplomacy to have so many solid relationships and partnerships, and it should be admired. He was speaking at the panel discussion with the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and German Foreign Minister M. Baerbock next to him, explaining that India is smart to have so many options. Our correspondent Trent Murray has more from Munich.
Well, it's been another busy 24 hours of high-level speeches and one-on-one meetings here at the Munich Security Conference. We have seen Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky give an incredibly impassioned speech in the English language. We should note clearly it was an international audience that were the intended recipients of that speech. In it, he made that incredibly public call once again to his allies to provide financial and military support for his country as it continues to try and push back the Russians in the east of the country. I think he was also acutely aware that in some places that maybe a little bit of war fatigue is setting in, questions around just how long this conflict will last and how much money it will cost foreign countries to try and provide support. Let me read briefly a statement that he said in his speech. He said, "Please do not ask Ukraine when the war will end. Ask yourself why President Putin is still able to continue it." We also heard from the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who spoke about the need for Europe to do more to try and sort out its own security, if you will, not just rely heavily on the United States. Calls here to increase the amount of manufacturing around weapons and armaments, especially as many warehouses here are running quite low after Europe has handed over quite a lot of its ammunition and hardware to Europe. And also we have to mention, of course, External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jaishankar. He has been one very busy minister. Let me just read some of the one-on-one meetings he's had with foreign minister counterparts. He has met with the US, EU, Argentina, Canada, Germany, Belgium, Portugal, and Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. We know he also joined a panel discussion here alongside his American and German counterpart. The panel was called Growing the Pie, Seizing Shared Opportunities. And he made quite an interesting statement, I thought, around Delhi's international worldview and where it sees itself in the world and its relationships.
Your question, do we have multiple options? Answer is yes. Is that a problem? Why should it be a problem? If I'm smart enough to have multiple options, you should be admiring me. You shouldn't be criticizing. Now, is that a problem for other people? I don't think so. I don't think so, certainly in this case and in that case, because, look, we try to explain what are the different pulls and pressures which countries have.
Other countries. Let me read some of it to you. He said it's important to distinguish between being non-West and anti-West. I would categorize India as a country that is non-West. but has an extremely strong relationship with Western countries, which are getting better by the day. Trent Murray for DD India, Munich, Germany.
Well, in the wake of the cholera outbreak in Zambia, India sends humanitarian assistance to the country. The aid, weighing approximately 3.5 tons, comprises water purification supplies, chlorine tablets and ORS sachets, was handed over by Indian High Commissioner to the government of Zambia. Zambia has been reeling under an outbreak of cholera over the past few weeks, which had prompted a closure of schools in the country. The outbreak began in the Zambian capital region and by early January 2024 had killed around 333 people. Well, in an aim to boost bilateral ties between India and Taiwan, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the two countries to enable Indian migrant workers to work in Taiwan. The MOU promises mutual benefits for the people of both nations. The signing of agreement comes at a time when a labor-strapped Taipei looking to extend its foreign workforce outside its Southeast Asian sources. And the Indian Air Force conducted Exercise Vayu Shakti-24 near Jaisalmer in Indian state of Rajasthan. The exercise saw the participation of Tejas, Prachand and Dhruv, as well as Rafale Mirage 2000, Sukhoi 30 MKI and Jaguar, among others. A report.
44 bombs have been dropped by 2 Sukhoi 30.
Pokhran range near Jaisalmer reverberated with thunderous explosions and applause as the Indian Air Force showcased its offensive capabilities through an enthralling and formidable display of its firepower.
Terrorist camp ko tabah kar diya gaya hai.
The event began with 3 Chetak helicopters trooping the national flag and the Air Force ensign, flying past the grandstand. This was followed by a perfectly timed sonic boom created by a Rafale aircraft. 2 Jaguar aircraft flying at low levels followed the Rafale, taking high-fidelity reconnaissance images of the area. In keeping with this year's theme of the exercise, Lightning Strike from the Sky, over 120 aircraft displayed the IAF's offensive capabilities. Fighter aircraft of the Indian Air Force, including the Rafale, the Sukhoi 30 MKI, MiG-29, Mirage 2000, Tejas and Hawk, attacked and destroyed simulated enemy targets on ground and in the air with deadly precision. Keeping up with the technological advancements in combat domain and the lessons learned from recent conflicts, the IAF also displayed a long-range unmanned drone which destroyed a simulated enemy radar site with pinpoint accuracy. An IAF Rafale also successfully engaged an aerial target with a beyond visual range air-to-air missile. Combat support operations by transport aircraft included a containerized delivery system dropped by a C-17 heavy lift aircraft and an assault landing by a C-130J carrying IAF Special Forces Garuds. The Apache attack helicopter demonstrated its firepower in this event for the first time by engaging targets with air-to-ground guided missiles, while Mi-17 helicopters engaged ground targets with rockets. As the sun set on the horizon, Garuds inserted by Mi-17 helicopters carried out an urban intervention demonstrating their prowess in anti-terror or insurgency operations aimed at clearing hideouts of inimical elements. The indigenous air defense systems, Akash and Samar missile systems were also showcased, destroying multiple aerial targets. Night events displayed for the first time the capabilities of indigenous light combat helicopter Prachand, wherein it neutralized a designated target with rockets.
The Air Force is carrying out its major firepower demonstration, a biennial exercise called Vayu Shakti 2024, here over the skies of Pokhran near Jaisalmer in Rajasthan. Now, this exercise will test the defensive and offensive capabilities of the Air Force, apart from testing the firepower, the lethality and accuracy of the weapons delivery systems of the Air Force, including missiles, air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons. With camera person Shubham Sharma at the Pokhran ranges, this is Nandita Dagar for DD India.
And Indian Navy will hold a mega exercise Milan 2024 off its eastern coast in Visakhapatnam from Tuesday, that is February 19th. At least 50 friendly navies are participating with their delegations and warships. Our correspondent Nandita Dagar has more details.
51 navies of the world will be participating in an international maritime exercise organized by the Indian Navy on and off the coast of Visakhapatnam from the 19th of February to the 27th of February. This is the Milan 2024 exercise, where 15 navies will also be sending 35 of their warships and aircrafts. Also, on 21st of February, this Milan exercise will be formally inaugurated by the Defence Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh. On the 22nd of February, there will be an international city parade in the city of Destiny or Visakhapatnam.
Series of events happening, including an international maritime exposition. There is also a maritime technical exhibition happening. There is a city parade planned, and there are junior officers interactions happening. So all this is part of the harbour phase, which is from 19th to 23rd of February.
Apart from the harbour phase, which will see professional interactions between the junior sailors, sports activities, etc., the business end of the Milan 2024 will be the sea phase from 24th to 27th February, wherein anti-submarine warfare, air defence and tactical exercises will be carried out by these navies in unison. And the motto, of course, of Milan 2024 is united by the oceans. It is part of the Sagar initiative, or security and growth for all in the region, initiative by the Modi government. With camera person AK in New Delhi, this is Nandita Dagar for DD India.
Well, India's ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party's National Convention on Saturday passed a political resolution, Viksit Bharat Modi Ki Guarantee, as a host of party leaders highlighted the government's development and cultural measures and various initiatives. The two-day meeting, which began on the 17th of February, witnessed 11,500 delegates from across the country. The inaugural meeting was attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other BJP leaders. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also scheduled to address the valedictory session of the meeting today. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Amid a standoff between the protesters and security personnel at 2 points on the Punjab-Haryana border, the fourth round of talks between farmers, organizations and the centre will take place. At least 10 people, including 4 women, lost their lives and 4 are injured in an explosion in a fireworks manufacturing unit at South Indian state of Tamil Nadu on Saturday. The accident happened at a cracker unit in Ramuthavenapatti when the labourers were mixing chemicals for fancy crackers. The local police has registered against the owner and manager of the unit, and a detailed managerial probe has been ordered. New Delhi Municipal Council, in collaboration with the Embassy of Netherlands, organised a music concert by Indo-Dutch artists in India's capital, Delhi. The concert was organised on the theme of Song of Water. Artist Pandit Shubhendra Rao and Maestro Saskia Rao performed a mix of tunes of Indo-Dutch music. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. President Volodymyr Zelensky urges allies to send more weapons as Russian-Ukraine conflict enters third year. Two-day 27th African Union Summit concludes today with leaders prioritizing peace, development and integration. An Indian space research organization launches India's latest weather satellite, Naughty Boy, says post-launch Naughty Boy has behaved obediently.
Where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Updates now on Russia-Ukraine war. Speaking at the Munich gathering, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged allies to send more weapons as he said there is a shortage of weapons in Ukraine on Saturday.
Our actions are limited only by the sufficiency and length of the range of our strengths, but what does not depend on us. And Avdiivka situation proves this exactly. Dear friends, unfortunately, keeping Ukraine in the artificial deficit of weapons, particularly in deficit of artillery and long-range capabilities, allows Putin to adapt to the current intensity of the war.
Well, Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani said Italy is ready to offer more military aid to Ukraine, adding Rome had already approved 8 support packages for Kyiv at Munich gathering on Saturday.
Italy approved the package number 8 on military support. I think that they are arriving in Ukraine in these days. And we're ready for doing more. The message to Russia is very clear. Ukraine will be member of the European Union, and then we are working for having Ukraine member of NATO.
Well, President Joe Biden has termed the existence of NATO as critical for the U.S. His comments came as he asserted that as long as there is NATO, the U.S. has allies which help it to defend to any future challenges.
As long as there's NATO, we have allies that are competent and have defended us. And by the way, the only time Article 5 has been invoked is when we were attacked on 9/11. So the idea that we're going to walk away from Ukraine, the idea that we're going to let NATO begin to split is totally against the interests of the United States of America, and it is against our word we've given since all the way back to Eisenhower. So it's about time we make sure that Congress come home and pass the legislation funding NATO. It's critical. Our security depends on it.
While the European Commission will present a defence industrial strategy proposal in 3 weeks, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said this at Munich conference.
Wir müssen mehr investieren.
We must invest more, we must invest better, and we must invest European, which is why we as the EU Commission will next month present a strategy on the European defence industry.
Zur europäischen
Actually, Hungary could ratify Sweden's NATO membership at the start of its spring session set to begin on February 26th. Hungary is the only NATO member yet to ratify Sweden's application to join the alliance, which it filed following Russia's 2022 full-scale offensive in Ukraine.
Together with the Swedish Prime Minister, we have taken important steps to restore confidence. We are going in the direction that at the start of Parliament's spring season, we can ratify Sweden's accession to NATO.
Well, African leaders at the 37th African Union Summit are prioritizing peace, development and integration. The 2-day summit of the 55-member bloc, which concludes on the 18th of February, comes as the continent wrestles with coups, conflicts, political crisis and regional tensions. DD India's Isaac Lucando has more.
The summit unveiled the Union's theme for this year, which focuses on providing education and skills for 21st century Africa. With the continent projected to have the youngest and largest workforce globally by 2050, leaders are emphasizing quality education for Africans. Another burning issue at the summit is the resurgence of military coups. Criticism of the bloc's ineffectiveness in resolving conflicts on the continent persists. This is because efforts to influence countries facing recent coups have not borne much fruit. The focus of the 55-member bloc has also extended to reforming the global financial architecture. Leaders at the summit have committed to establishing an African monetary union and related financial institutions. They say these initiatives aim to foster hope for Africa's 1.2 billion people. Isaac Lucando in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
Well, in Croatia, thousands of supporters of opposition parties rallied in central Zagreb on Saturday, demanding early elections in a protest triggered by allegations on trial for corruption. Protesters filled St. Mark's Square in front of Croatia's government building, waving flags and signs. Sandra Bencik of the left-wing Muzemo party told protesters they wanted to see more people staying in Croatia rather than migrating for economic opportunities elsewhere. The opposition say incoming Attorney General Ivan Turetic should resign and the parliament which voted for him should be dissolved. Croatia is scheduled to hold parliamentary and presidential elections later this year. Well, political uncertainty persisted in Pakistan as thousands of supporters of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan's party took to the streets, protesting alleged poll rigging during the country's general elections. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf supporters protested in the capital, Islamabad and Karachi and Peshawar. In Lahore, police briefly detained lawyer Salman Akram Raja, who contested the polls as an independent candidate backed by the PTI. He was later released. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf leaders addressed a press conference in Islamabad on the alleged rigging, calling it a massive assault on democracy. Khan and his party say that the election results were rigged, who should have won even more seats. The caretaker government and Pakistan's Election Commission have rejected the allegations and said the country has laws and systems to investigate specific complaints. And news from around the world, a landslide triggered by heavy rains in western Bolivia on Friday night has killed 3 and buried tens of houses. Around 60 families were left homeless. Locals were seen retrieving their belongings and assessing damages on Saturday. One firefighter died and several others were injured in a house explosion in Virginia in the United States. 10 firefighters and 2 civilians were transported to hospital for treatment. An odor of gas was reported outside of the home where a 500-gallon underground propane tank was found leaking. The exact cause of the explosion has not yet been determined. 14 couples tied the knot at this year's Copenhagen Light Festival in Denmark. The festival features 50 large light installations called Pixel. One of the weddings was Pixel artist Frederick Hooks himself. The annual festival will go on till the 25th of February. 11 lions along with 46 other wild animals were rescued from a conflict-torn Sudan on Saturday. The animals were released at South Africa's Lions Rock Big Cat Sanctuary in a rescue operation by animal welfare organization for Paws. In an effort spanning 15 years, a group of Japanese experts have restored 16 of Vietnamese artist Nguyen Phan Chan's silk paintings. Chan is believed to be the founding father of Vietnamese silk painting, who possessed many globally recognized artworks. And moving on, India achieved another milestone in its use of geosynchronous orbits for weather studies on Saturday evening with a successful launch of its third-generation meteorological satellite, INSAT-3DS. The satellite aims to monitor the Earth's surface and carry out oceanic observations. More in this report.
3, 2, 1, L40 stations are ignited.
ISRO's satellite INSAT-3DS aboard GSLV F-14 successfully took off from Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh on Saturday. Known as Naughty Boy, this satellite aimed to provide the vertical profile of various meteorological parameters of the atmosphere and boasts satellite-aided search and rescue services. Congratulating the team, Mission Director said, Naughty Boy is behaving obediently.
The Naughty Boy has now become and matured as a very obedient and disciplined boy. And so like PSLV, GSLV has also become a very robust vehicle for ISRO. So I congratulate and salute all the ISRO family members on this occasion.
This geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, GSLV, is a 3-stage 51.7-meter-long launch vehicle having a lift-off mass of 420 tons. The first stage comprises a solid propellant motor having 139-ton propellant and 4 earth storable propellant stages strap-ons which carry 40 tons of liquid propellant in each. The second stage is also an earth storable propellant stage loaded with 40-ton propellant. The third stage is a cryogenic stage with a 15-ton propellant loading of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Funded by the Ministry of Earth Sciences, the primary objectives of the mission are to monitor Earth's surface, carry out oceanic observations and its environment in various spectral channels of meteorological importance.
We have a 38,000 plus kilometer apogee has been accomplished with no other issues with respect to inclination. So it's a very perfect mission. Little over performance that has been given to the satellite, which increases its life, as already told by Director URSC. And all of you know this satellite is a third in the series of series of satellites meant for the weather and the disaster warning related activities.
Various departments of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, including Indian Meteorology Department, will be utilizing the satellite data to provide improved weather forecasts and meteorological services. With Aisha Khanam in Bengaluru, Faiz Khan for DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.